Hi, and welcome back to my channel. So this is my first story time, and trust me, you're going to want to listen to the entire thing from beginning to the end. Okay, just trust me. Trust me when I say you want to hear this. So this story time is about what I classify as my worst date ever, and yeah, it was, I guess in my opinion, it was pretty bad because anyone who knows me, girl or guy, I'm pretty easygoing, um, and I just, anyways, let me get to the story. So this was a few years back. I want to say maybe even like 8 years ago, and I had gone to a work event, and at the work event there was other workplaces there, and there was a guy there, and one of my coworkers had let me know, and I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't remember if I saw the guy first and I was like, okay, like, let's see if, or if he saw me first and told my coworker. I honestly don't remember, but numbers were exchanged and I was like, okay, cool. So again, I'm assuming he texted me first. I'm pretty sure he did. And the day that we were supposed to go on our first date, he had said that he was having car issues. I think one of his lights came on, either a light came on or there was something wrong with the tire. Anyways, there was an issue with the car, and it was after he came to pick me up, which, gentleman thing to do, come pick me up from my home. He said that he didn't want to cancel because it would look bad being, first real impression. But he still wanted to go out somewhere. So within like a 5-minute drive from where I was living at the time, there wasn't any real like sit down restaurants. So we went to, I guess you can call it, it wasn't really fast food. It was like, well, I guess it is. It was like a shawarma place. And they had like little seating, little counter seating. It wasn't like, dine-in service. So he said it's the least he can do. So we ordered some shawarmas and we sat and, we kind of chit-chatted. And then he dropped me back home. So at the end of the night, I was like, okay, cool. At least he made an effort. He didn't cancel, because honestly, that probably would have left a taste in my mouth. And I would have thought it was an excuse if he just said, oh yeah, I'm having car troubles. And I'm like, at least he tried to at least do something. Like, he didn't cancel completely. So I respected that and I said, cool. And he's like, yeah, I'll make it up to you second date. So I don't remember how much time is in between, but we set up a second date, and I want to say maybe about 30 minutes of the time that we had originally agreed on to him picking me up, he was like, oh, he's running a little late. Is that okay? I was like, okay, cool. It happens. It's okay. I'm just gonna sit here looking good, smelling good, it's all right. And he had even said that, like, he would have had to cancel, but he didn't want to do that to me because the first date wasn't really how he had planned for it to go, but he's gonna make everything work out, not to worry. So at that point I'm like, okay, like, because my mom would always said that if something seems like too forced, like if you're pushing too hard for something to happen, just let it go, like let things happen naturally. And I was like, should I just tell him it's okay, forget it? But I was like, no, I'm excited, it's a date. He's trying his hardest to make the date happen. So I was like, okay, you know what, if he's not gonna cancel, I'm not gonna suggest that he cancels, because he only knows what's going on, and if he really needs to, he'll do it. So he came, he picked me up. He was about 45 minutes late, but I said it's cool. And then after he came and he picked me up, he was like, he has to stop at his house for something. So I was like, okay, cool, let's just stop at your house. His place was like maybe 15 minutes away from mine, wasn't too far. He stopped. Then he's like, oh, he has to put gas in the car. So he's like, he has to stop and pump some gas. And then, so this was after he returned from going up to his apartment and grabbing what he needed to grab. And then he was like, he also needs to stop by his dad's workplace to pick up something. And then he's like, then I promise, we'll get on with our date. So at this point, I'm like, okay. And, he's like, his dad's workplace is along the place to where we're going. And at this point, he just told me we're going out to eat. He hasn't told me where. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. So he stopped, he bought gas, and then we went on his way to his dad's workplace. Now, where I was living at the time in Toronto, I'm not too far from the airport. I'd say maybe 20 minutes tops from the airport. And so when we were driving, that's kind of the area, like the industrial area near the airport is where we were going. And at this point it's dark outside, and he's making turns, and at one point I'm like, okay, I kind of know the vicinity that I'm in. I know I'm in the airport vicinity, but like I don't really know the exact street. And we ended up like pulling up in front of a warehouse or a factory, something just industrial. And he parked in the parking lot, and he's like, he's gonna run inside, grab what he needs to grab, and then we can continue on our date. Now, this is about 8 years ago, and having data wasn't like how it is now, where everyone has data. And I was either at school or at home or at work, and there was Wi-Fi in all those places. So at that time, I did not have a data plan for when I was outside of my house. So just keep that in mind, okay? No data. So he's in there, he's gone. I can see the door that he went in from, and the area that we're in is industrial. So after dark, there's no real lights there. There's like 1 or 2 lights in the parking lot just to kind of keep the parking lot, dimly lit. But there's no like even street lights on the main road, wherever the main road was. So I'm just sitting in this car, and he obviously locked the door. So at this point, I can't even open the door because then the alarm would go off, right? So I'm sitting in the car. I had my phone, started texting some of my friends because I'm like, okay, this man's been in, he's been inside for like 15 minutes now. And I'm like, I don't exactly know where I am. Like if I was to get out the car, I could probably figure it out. And I do have my phone obviously with me, but I'm like, like I probably feel a little bit more safer just being inside the car. So even when I was texting my friends, they're like, okay, well, go inside the workplace and just ask for him. And I'm just like, that's so awkward. Like, am I gonna ask for his dad? Do I ask for him? I don't even know what kind of business is happening inside this workplace. Like, I don't want to go and say to the receptionist, hey, I'm supposed to be on a date, and it was just awkward. I didn't know what to do. So I was sitting and I'm still texting my friends. I even called one of them, and I'm on the phone with her, and she's like, Justina, like, you're good. If it was me, I would have left. And I was like, yeah, but I don't know where I am. Like, and so he ended up, I think I texted him actually. Yeah. And I was just like, is everything okay? And he texted me back saying, yeah, he's just photocopying a textbook for school. And I was like, oh my God. So, and he's like, yeah, it's like 600 pages. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I have to sit here and wait for these 600 pages to finish No, sorry. At the time, he didn't tell me how many pages it was. He just told me he was photocopying something for school. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's like an essay or something, but I'm wondering, like, why is it taking so long? So I was sitting there, and 20 minutes turned to 30 minutes, turned to 40 minutes. And after about 45 minutes, he comes back in, and that's when he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He's like, yeah, I had to photocopy a textbook for school, and I think he said like the ink ran out halfway through because it was 600 pages. And I was like, seriously, that's what you had me sitting here waiting for, because you had to go and photocopy 600 pages? And I was like, that is so rude and inconsiderate. Like, you couldn't do this on your own time? So fine, whatever. Like, I'm already annoyed, and I guess you could see it in my face. And he's like, don't worry, I promise I'll make it up to you. He's like, just don't worry, like, I promise I'll make it up to you. So I'm thinking, okay, making it up to me, that means appetizer, dinner, and dessert, and even a drink, all on him when we actually end up going to dinner. And then we pull up to where the dinner spot is. And for those of you that are from the GTA, about Moxie's. And like 8 years ago, Moxie's was the spot just because of their white chocolate brownie. Okay, so I wasn't mad at Moxie's. And we got in, and of course server comes, she's like, oh, would you like to try our wines? And I'm like, no, I'm good. And this was my thing. And even till now, like when well, not so much now, but even up until a couple of years ago, when I go, especially on a first date, I don't really like to drink, because I'm like, I don't want to get a little too excited, and I want to be me also. I want, especially on a first date, first real kind of impression, I want it to be me. I want it to be authentic. I don't need liquid courage. So I told him, like, no, good, I'm good, I don't need the wine. And he's like, no, he's encouraging me. And I'm like, oh, I don't even like the way wine tastes. And he's like, oh, it's an acquired taste. And he's telling the server, yeah, tell her, isn't it acquired taste? And they're both kind of saying, just try it. And I'm like, no, it's okay. Like, I'm like, I'm not really a wine person, but I'll have like, just like a pop, a soda, something to drink. So then when it's time to order entrees, Again, those of you from the GTA, you know about you know about Moxie's chicken Alfredo. So I got that, and he was like, "Oh, everyone always gets the Alfredo. Like, you should try something different." And I was like, "No, I'm like, I'm a little hungry. I want to stick with what I know. I don't want to try something new and I don't like it, right?" And the Alfredo is also, it's more relatively priced, because they have steaks, which is a little bit more expensive. But again, when I go on a first date, I like to be pretty moderate per se, depending on what's on the menu. I don't want to order the most expensive thing, because I'm not the one that's paying. So I like to be considerate of that. If I am the one that's paying, then of course I'll order whatever I want, and I don't care what the other person orders, because I'm not gonna invite you somewhere or take you somewhere that I can't afford anything that's on. I mean, I can't afford everything that's on the menu. But yeah, so I just want to be moderate, and I don't want to waste food, right? So he got something different, because he said he usually always gets the Alfredo, but he wanted to try something new. He got something different. He didn't end up liking it. I ate all my food, and instead of getting the full size of the dessert, I just got the smaller portion of it too, because I'm like, I'm not that hungry. Plus, again, I'm trying to be considerate, right? I don't want to run up a huge bill. And so we were just chit-chatting and things like that. And the conversation, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad conversation, but I wouldn't say he was kind of, I don't know, like, I don't want to say judgy, but like there was a little things that he was nitpicking at or whatever, but it wasn't enough for me to be like, I don't want to go on another date with him. It's people's personalities, right? None of the stuff he was saying was a non-negotiable in my book. And I mean, he didn't say anything to let me know that anything I was saying means like, nope, never again. And then, yeah, so then, okay, we're done eating. And, after all of that, the bill comes, and, server gives it to him, and he looks at me in front of the server, and he's like, "So are you paying cash or credit?" And I was like, ooh. I was like, huh? And he's like, "Yeah, are you paying cash or credit?" And I was like, credit? And so I'm waiting for the haha, just kidding. And no, when the machine really came, he really did his half. Okay, he didn't even add the tip. Like, if you're gonna pay for yourself, the least you can do is factor in your part of the tip. He didn't even pay her no tip. So I ended up paying for what I ate, and I even tipped a little extra to cover him. And I was sitting there, and I was just like, oh my God. And I think right at the table, like, I want to say he went to the washroom. So I pulled out my phone, I texted my sister, and I got like 100 LOLs, capital letters, so many O's, so many L's. And she was like, "You're joking." And I'm like, I can't believe this man really looked at me and said cash or credit, and didn't say just kidding after. And, I'm like, at that point, if it was like today, I probably would have even just left the table and found myself home. Of course, there was no Ubers back then like there is now, but I probably would have hopped on the bus, taxi. I would have called my mom, somebody to come pick me up, because no. But back then I was like, oh my God. And I wasn't too far from home. By bus, it probably would have taken me like maybe an hour. But driving, it was like less than 20 minutes. But I was just like, I can't believe this man really said cash or credit. And he didn't even tip nothing. And in my head, I was like, again, it wasn't agreed upon before that I was going to pay for myself, because, hello, hi, I can afford to pay for a $20, $30, $40 meal. That's not the plan. That wasn't the problem. But don't tell me you're going to make it up to me and then tell me to order every and anything off the menu. And when the bill comes, it's like, I have to pay the bill. So that was when I was just like, okay, so when you kept saying you were going to make it up to me, how are you making up to me? By driving me to the restaurant? By being company? Like, no. Okay. And then he had the nerve, after he pulled up in front of my building, to be like, "So can I get a kiss?" And I was like, maybe next time. Because I was just like, you didn't even do anything that was worthy of a kiss. Like, or I shouldn't even say that. Like, it's just what he did was such a turnoff that if I even wanted to kiss him, I definitely wasn't going to kiss him at that point. I was just so turned off. And after that, I was like, I'm sorry, but like, I can't even continue to to talk to somebody who can't even cover a $30 tab or $30 meal on my behalf. And it's like, if the date was that bad, because, maybe he didn't enjoy my company, maybe he never wanted to go on a date with me again, fine, I could understand. I still think that it would be not even the gentlemanly thing to do, just the human thing to do, that if you're inviting me somewhere after you delayed me for like an hour and a half, the least you can do is cover my meal. But like at the very least, like, you know, don't let me pay for my meal and then expect a kiss in return. Buddy, you're even lucky you got, like, I even stayed and hopped back in your car. Because like I said, had it been today, I would have, I know my worth now. So I would have boogied on out of there so quickly. By the time he came back from the washroom, he would have seen that I paid my half of the bill and I would have been gone. So there's that. But yeah, so for me, that is the worst day ever, because every date that I've been on, like at the very least I can say that the man has covered my meal. Maybe he talked a lot, or you know, maybe I just wasn't feeling him, but I've never had someone be so bright to hand me the bill and say cash or credit, and actually sit there and watch and let me pay for myself. And I bet you if I said I was going to pay for his too, he would have sat there and let me pay for him. So yeah, there's that. And it's just like guys, if there's any guys watching this, don't be that guy. Please don't take a girl out, even if she's the worst date ever. Like, it's just the risk when it comes to dating, right? Even if she's the worst, don't sit there and tell her to pay for herself. Please, just the least you can do is just cover her, and just don't ever talk to her again. But that is so tacky, okay? And it's not cute. Like, don't do that. But yeah, so that's my worst date ever. For those who know me, have fun trying to guess who this person is. I don't even know his whereabouts now, to be honest. But that is my worst date ever. I mean, if you guys have experienced something like this before, please let me know in the comments. Because I hope I'm not the only one that's had to experience this before, because to this day my sister still laughs at me. Anytime we go out somewhere to eat, she'll be like, are you paying cash or debit, or cash or credit? And it's like, it's not funny, okay? Like, let it go. But yeah, if you've ever experienced anything like that, please let me know. Let me know that I'm not the only one, okay? But then again, if I'm not the only one, then that's sad, because that means that these dates, whether it be men or other women, are out here just being cheap and tacky, and that's not cool. Like, come on, we can do better. And if you'd like to hear more story times from me, because I got lots of stories. This one might have been the worst date ever. I think I rank it as the worst date, but I got lots of other bad date stories, and I got just lots of stories all together. So if you want more stories, let me know. I got lots. I can push out more of that content. Don't forget to like and comment. Please comment. I want to know. And subscribe so that you'll know. Click on that notification bell so you'll know when more of my videos come out.